Hey guys, Sam here from Slingshot. I'm here out in the Dominican Republic with Manuel Selman. We're out here for a week shooting some foiling. That's prone foiling, wing foiling, kite foiling, everything foiling. We're shooting and we've been chatting all week, and we thought it'd be cool to sit down and talk about all the technical stuff about foiling, what interests us, the kind of waves, and just pass on as much information as we can. Manuel's lived out in the Dominican Republic for 20 years. He's a professional surfer, surfs on the QS Tour, went to the Olympics, so surfs at a super high level. So it's really interesting to pick his brain about his prone foiling experiences, and I just want to extract all the information I can get, because I currently wing foil and kite foil, and I've done a bit of surfing and would love to prone foil. It looks so much fun. So in this video, I'm going to get as much information out of him as possible. So we're going to start with, can you give me your 3 top tips for prone surfing?
I would say that my first top 3 tips would be have the right equipment, find the right wave, the right place to do it, and the third one would be you can never be too far forward enough on your board and on your foil.
Yeah. So just to break down those tips, first of all, the equipment. From my own experience, like, the equipment's just come on so much in the last few years.
Right.
The foils are getting so much more efficient, they're stiffer, the profiles are thinner, everything's just making them better, easier to use, right?
Right. And there's also, with prone foiling, there's so many variables where you have the mast sizes, the wing foil sizes, and then the board. So if you're prone foiling, first of all, you want to get, at the beginning, you want to get a higher volume board so it makes it easier for you to paddle.
Yeah.
If you come from a surfing background, you're gonna have the paddle power for prone surfing. So you might get away with a maybe smaller volume board, but if you're a complete beginner and you come from the kite scene and you've done some kite foiling before, then you have the advantage of knowing the feel of the foil. But then you would need a higher volume board, so it's a lot easier to paddle and get into waves. And
so what volume board would you recommend for someone like myself who's 80 kilos, done a little bit of surfing, a bit of kite foiling?
I think you can always go a little bit higher than you think you can.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not many disadvantages, is there, to going a little bit, and that kind of applies to wing foiling and kite foiling as well. Right. Having a bit more volume in your board when you're learning just helps so much, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would think the sweet spot is between the 35 to 45 liters. Yeah. Regardless of your level and your paddle power, but yeah, if you don't have that surfing paddle power, then go to 45 liters. Yeah. If you're a surfer and you know how to paddle, you can start on 35, 40 liters. Yeah. I like myself 35 liters. Okay. That's like my go-to sizes. Yeah, see, I probably prone foiled like 4 or 5 times, and the first few times I was on the Flying Fish V2 39 liter and was popping up, caught like 1 or 2 waves the first session, but the waves were ideal for it. And then on this trip I tried Manu's 32 liter and kind of struggled, and it made, you know, there's only 6 liters or something difference, but it makes such a big difference. Right, so we go back to all the variables of the foil mass, the wing, and the board. And then if you don't have a board that you're getting into the waves early and being comfortable out, then you're going to struggle in your first sessions, right? Yeah, for sure. And then what about, what kind of surface area would you recommend for me as a beginner, and then what surface area is your go-to? I would say something around 1,000, depending on your weight, right? That seems to be the sweet spot. Yeah, around 1,000, something mid aspect, and mass sizes around 72, maximum 82. I mean, I like foiling the most on the 72 because you're just closer to the surface of the water.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels more direct.
Right.
Like having a shorter mast. It's easier to turn. You don't have as much area.
Right.
However, the longer mast gives you more space before breaching.
Right.
So like, personally, I like using the 92 winging. And I do also like the directness of the 82 for pumping.
Yeah.
But winging, especially in waves or big chop, it just gives you that little bit of extra space to stop yourself breaching earlier.
Right, right. But prone foiling, you want to be, I think 72 it's perfect.
For learning, yeah. Or for
I think
everything.
advanced, yeah, also, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I like the 82 because you can have that one mast for everything. You can kite foil it, you can prone foil it, you can wing it. And I like foiling, I like winging on the 82, and then I'm just lazy to change the mast, so I just prone foil on the 82 most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, 72, I think it's, if you're dedicated for prone surfing, I think 82 and 72 are the go-to mast. Some wing around the 1000 area.
Or even possibly even bigger. I don't know, maybe not much bigger, but
yeah, it depends on your size.
On your weight, yeah.
But yeah,
like maybe 1200 if you're a bigger guy.
Yeah, from 800 to 1200, I would say. If you're a bigger guy, 1200.
Yeah.
But it's a good start on the 1000.
Yeah.
And then if you're feeling like you have too much lift, then you can scale down. If you have not enough, then you can scale up. And
for sure. And I guess that also depends on the waves, which brings us on to your next tip, which was wave selection.
Yeah, wave selection is key for learning how to prone foil, because surfing is the complete opposite. You want like hollow, powerful waves, which is the complete opposite to prone surfing. You want the mushiest possible waves, something that barely breaks and disappears and just keeps the energy and the lines going down. So if you can find like a little sandbar or a little outer reef that barely breaks and then it goes into like kind of like a lagoon, let's say, that would be ideal. That would be the ultimate place. That's one of the reasons why the DR here is so good. There's so many little outer reefs that you can go out and have the most fun whenever it's like minimal conditions.
Yeah, that for me is what is, I've suddenly like my eyes open. Well, just foiling in general makes average conditions super fun, doesn't it? Like, it really maximizes the fun you can have in any conditions.
Oh
really.
Yeah, for sure. Right now we're driving to find some prone foiling waves, and we're literally going out looking for shitty waves, for the worst possible wave we can find.
Yeah.
And that's what makes foil the most fun, because when normal conditions are not good, you go out foiling and it just makes it so much better.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why foil surfing has so much potential. I still think like not all surfers are understanding that. Like it's not about like being in an epic lineup on a foil. It's about like going out when you otherwise wouldn't even surf. You know, they're unsurfable waves on a shortboard. Like, that's what's super cool about it.
You kind of want to stay away from beach breaks, unless there's like a dip on the sandbars on the beach break. Then you can get like the white water into the dip. That would be a good place to learn.
Yeah.
But out the back on a beach break, it's doesn't make sense. Your foil would breach out if the wave is too hollow. That's why like foiling is not fun on hollow waves. For sure.
It's just so hard to pop up as well, isn't it? Because basically the steeper the wave, the more energy it has, and then it just bucks you off so easy.
Yep. And the curve of the wave makes the foil literally stick out.
Yeah, suddenly you're having to change the angle of the foil so much in such a short space of time.
Yeah. If you want a good example of a perfect wave, it would be like Waikiki. Like, if you see a lot of longboarders out, you would probably be at a good spot to learn how to prone foil.
For sure.
And always, of course, keep your distance, ask around the locals if it's okay to paddle out. There's some places where it's not ideal to pull up with a foil and think it's
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna learn how to foil here.
Yeah, and I think that's important for new foilers. If you're watching this, is to be conscious of that. You know, you don't want to get a foil and paddle out at an epic lineup,
Right.
because also like it might put a bad taste in the surfer's mouth. So you know, then they suddenly have a bad impression of foiling.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
For the most part, in my experience, every time I pull up with a foil somewhere, people are like interested and they're like, "Whoa, how's that? I've seen it on TV. Wow." And I've been to like these crazy places where they've never seen a foil.
Yeah.
And they come out of the water and they look at it and they're like, but where's the engine? Where's the engine on it? I'm like, my legs are the engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been like some places. Sri Lanka has like some amazing foil spots, and
Yeah.
they were the locals. They were tripping about it. They're like, "Oh, where can I get one?" Like the surfers were interested on getting some, and yeah, there's definitely places that are ideal for prone foiling.
And even like my home spot, I'm realizing like we have these waves that don't ever quite break on the sandbar, and that's just perfect. You know, like you can't surf them, but you can foil them.
Yeah, so finding the right wave with the right equipment would make your process a lot easier and a lot faster to get to a certain level where you want to be at.
For sure.
And
so your third tip, staying further forwards on the board.
You can never be too much forward. I always tell people like, well, most surfers people that I take out foiling are my surfer friends. And surfing is like when you pop up, you normally put your hands between your waist, and that's where your front foot goes. And then as soon as you're up surfing, it's all pretty much back foot pressure, right? So all my friends that take foiling, they'll do the same paddle into waves, super easy. And by the time they're popping up, their foil's already tanking them out.
Yeah.
And that's because they're not forward enough. And I always give people the tip to put your seat forward on the board. Make sure your nose is barely out of the water when you're paddling. So then when a wave comes, you just use your knees to lift up the nose. Paddle to keep the nose of the board out of the water. And then when you're gonna pop up, you don't want to put your hands between your waist. You want to go forward, almost like in front of your face, kind of. And then as you're popping up, that's already putting front foot pressure, and then you're gonna make sure your front foot is gonna go all the way to your hands.
Okay.
And I tell people, just ride the wave. Don't get any lift. If you're lifting, you're not doing it right. You're not putting front foot pressure enough.
Yeah.
So I try to get people to go 7 feet without getting
foiling.
any lift, without foiling. Exactly. And if you can do that 6-7 waves where you can keep the foil touching water, then you start adjusting, putting a little bit more back pressure. Obviously at the beginning you want the foil all the way back on the tracks.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, because it makes it so much easier to keep that nose down if you're right at the back of the track. And that tip also applies to all foiling, like from wing foiling, kite foiling, like learning. You want to have the mast right at the back of the track. And try to avoid foiling, you know, like try to keeping the board touching down, because anytime you're just doing the bucking bronco and it just kicks up, kicks you off, you're not progressing. But just riding the foil, even if you're not actually flying, you're learning, you're getting those muscle memory time up, figuring out how the board feels. And then once you're up, stable position, like for me, if I'm popped up and I'm not foiling, then you can just lift a little bit of back foot pressure and it pops up and you're away. Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you can ride the wave a couple hundred, like a couple meters, or whatever you can go without it lifting, that means that you have the foil under control. That's the main thing why I tell people, just don't get any lift. It's like, yeah, but I wanna foil. I was like, take it easy, do 7 waves like this, and then adjust your weight back, maybe put your front foot a little bit farther back when you pop up, and then make sure you ride close to the water, and then put back foot pressure and immediately front foot pressure. That's kind of like my go-to, but like always the best technique to be far forward enough would be to make sure that your nose, it's like underwater when you're paddling.
Okay.
And putting your pop up with the hands a little bit more forward than usual. That would help 100% to put that front foot pressure. And also a lot of the people like try to crouch down, and that doesn't really help, because when you're crouching down, your weight distribution is not as much as if you were standing tall and like locking your legs.
Okay.
It's a lot more pressure on the front foot and back foot, so you can actually control the foil a lot better like that. It is sketchy.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's not the right thing to do. But a lot of people like bend their knees, and when you bend your knees, you're just letting the foil come up.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna add one tip onto the end of it. If you can gain any foil experience, either getting towed like behind a boat, or possibly on a 2-point cable system, or even taking a wing foil lesson, or if you come from wind sports such as kiting or foiling, you're able to get a lot more time foiling, winging and kiting. So it's definitely going to be easier to prone foil if you have that foil experience, or if you've got it from behind a boat or a foil. However, that's not always accessible. For example, here you can't really do that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you have a friend with a boat, with a jet ski, you can definitely take advantage of that.
Because then you don't have to think about the waves, the wind. It's just a closed skill you can focus on how to ride that foil. Because those first few hours is your brain just figuring out. Like I tell people, it's like learning to use a board all over again. Even if you're a competent kite surfer, twin tipper, like the foil is a completely new thing altogether. It's a humbling experience.
Yeah, right. I have a lot of people that ask me like, I want to start winging, but I should start prone foiling first, or I want to do kite foil, but I don't know how to kite. And like anything foil related, if you don't have a jet ski or a boat to learn, I think that winging is the easiest way to learn how to foil.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then from there you could go to prone, or you could go to kite, and it'd be a lot easier.
And winging's like the crossover for me, because it's kind of surfy, you know. Like I'm aspiring to harness that energy of swells and waves, and that feeling of being able to like shut off the wing and just cruise on some swell is just so much fun. It's such a cool feeling. So it is the most surfy feeling, and you can learn on a really big foil, you know, like 2,000 even plus. Like I taught my dad on a 2,400 like slingshot 99 wing, and it was just so easy for him on a 130 litre board with a short mast, like a 72 mast. And then within the first session he was up and going. But kite foiling, you have to use a small foil, which makes it a lot twitchier, because you don't need that much surface area to get you up on foil kiting.
Would you recommend people learning on anything shorter than 72?
See, probably not. I mean, initially there was a theory that using a shorter mast did help you, and you could argue that it would do, I think, for maybe just 30 minutes. Like you're a complete beginner, I think a short mast could help, but it's a short period of time. The reason why the short mast helps is you can come up and down and breach the foil without doing a complete face plant nosedive. So you're able to just spend more time bouncing back and forth on foil.
And the negative sides are that
you're always just bouncing up and down on the foil.
Also breaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you have less distance to cover.
Yeah, but it just means you're not constantly like having to get back on the board, start over. But at some point, I would say literally like 1 hour after learning, you want to jump up to 72 or 82. But the longer the mast, the harder it is for beginners, I think.
To me, I put that little, what was it, 23 or I don't know what it was. It was super short. I went out, got up on foil breach, fell, got up on foil breach, fell, and I was like, this is pointless. I went in and I put a 61, which was a really good mast size to learn on. And and then I got more time to react to the foil coming up and putting front foot pressure. So
yeah,
I would recommend 61, 71,
yeah,
72 to learn how to like any foil, really, either winging or kiting or.
And this has reminded me of another important thing to think about, is the energy of the wave is the closest to the surface.
Right.
So if you're trying to ride a wave behind a boat or prone foil, there's the most energy when the foil is closest to the surface. So having a shorter mast makes it easier for the foil to be closer,
right.
Giving you more lift, enabling you to stay up on foil, whether that's behind a boat or a small little wave.
Right. So to sum it all up, you want to find a wave that barely breaks, that you can just catch that whitewater energy for a couple of seconds to paddle, get up on foil, and then ride the energy. That would be the ideal wave to find something that looks like Waikiki, for example. And then you want to be on a 72 mast with a mid-aspect wing around 1,000, depending on your weight. 35 to 45 liters would be ideal. And you can't be far forward enough. I think that's the main 3 tips, and from there you can go on.
Let's go. Go get yourself a foil and we'll see you out there. If you guys want any more information, just drop us a comment and we'll get back to you if we haven't covered anything that you're interested in. So drop a comment, we'll hit you back.